everyone, and welcome to the Latinx Business Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Gomez, and if you're looking to demystify the world of business through the raw, authentic stories of Latinx entrepreneurs, you've come to the right place. As someone with an MBA and an IRS-enrolled agent license, I've spent years helping freelancers, partnerships, and S corporations navigate the often tricky waters of the US tax law. Now, I'm bringing that expertise and passion to this community right here. So thank you for tuning in, and you know what? It's time to talk business. Hey guys, welcome back to a short episode of the Latinx Business Podcast. I am your host, Randy Gomez, and I hold an MBA in entrepreneurship and an enrolled agent license, so I help small business navigate the complex tax system of the IRS of the US, so LLCs, partnerships, S corps, and corporations. So if you guys need help with that, make sure you reach out to us and we'll set you up with an initial consultation where you can get all your questions answered, and we'll review your tax returns from the prior year and assess any other needs that your business may have, like payroll or bookkeeping questions and stuff like that. Now, let's get into this episode. I wanted to talk about the mid-year side hustle audit. So why mid-year? It's a July. You know, a lot of things happen in the summer. A lot of people take on side gigs or a part-time job during the summer and stuff like that. With the side hustle comes responsibility and tracking and due diligence. So that's why I want to bring that up, right? First and foremost, you need to track your income. Second, you need to track your expenses. Why? One, to be a good business person. So you want to be able to track your income and your expenses so you know whether you're profitable or if you're losing money in this endeavor that you've taken on, right? And obviously, if you're making good money from it or you're making good profit margins, then you want to expand on that. Whereas, like, if you run the numbers and you figure out that, hey, I'm actually losing $2 per transaction and I'm in the negative every time I sell something at this low price point or so and so based on other factors, then you would change strategies, right? So tracking is very important. At the bare minimum, you need to be tracking items with paper and pen, which means all the money that comes in this month and all the money that goes out that month needs to be written down on a piece of paper. A lot of business owners or freelancers will start tracking their income and expenses just with receipts and invoices, and that's the backup to your files, to your paperwork you're filling out, right? Because we need to report proper numbers when tax season comes around next year. Some individuals don't track the income that's being deposited into their bank account because they know they're going to get a 1099 at the end of the year when tax season comes around. And 1099Ks are going to be, they're payment trackers through third-party apps, right? So places like Venmo, PayPal, and Stripe. And it's very important to check those platforms right now, Cash App, Zelle, right? You need to be tracking what is business and what is personal. Why? Because if one of your friends marks an item as a business item, but really they were reimbursing you for a food or meals you went to go have that Friday night, then you don't want to claim that as taxable income because that's not income you made, that you're just getting reimbursed, right? That individual is making you whole again. So very important. People started panicking when they're like, hey, we're all going to get issued 1099Ks. And here's the thing, like, as long as it's not marked as a business transaction, that's not going to be put in the 1099K because then it's going to be viewed as a personal item. So you, as a business owner or freelancer, you want to make sure you're looking at all these items and you're saying, hey, why is like 2 or 3 transactions being marked as business when those were all personal Zelles or Venmo or PayPal transactions from a friend? Right? One, because we need to be honest and report actual income you make. And then 2, you don't want to pay taxes on income, on so-called income, just because it landed as a deposit in your bank account, right? So deposits in your bank account could be income, could be money you had taken out, put back in there. It could be money that your parents transferred to you or a family member gave you for your birthday and stuff, or just, monies that you received from a family member that is part of the excluded gift tax, right? So stuff like that is important to double check, especially right now because we are in the month of July. And then another thing to double check right now too, which a lot of people don't track, and I think it's important for people to track, is their mileage. So mileage right now is 72.5 cents per mile in 2026, right? So just to give you guys a good idea of what kind of write-offs this means, like if you just had 100 miles for the month, you are gonna take a $72.50 write-off, and that's big, right? So like that's an expense that as long as you keep track of, like, hey, I went from point A to point B, and then I went from point B back to point A, and you track those miles and you have a business purpose for going there, then you're able to take that deduction. Okay. The best thing to do is to track it with like an app. There's different apps out there. You can do like Mile IQ, even QuickBooks has within their app, you can track your miles within QuickBooks. So I would use one of those. And then, yes, you swipe right or left and you need to sort and you need to put in like information into it and say, hey, this was a personal transaction, this was a business transaction. And if it's a business, you need to put why it was considered a business trip, for example. A really good example is like, hey, I had to go to Staples and buy supplies to finish packaging all of our products so that they can go out in the mail. So, even expenses at the post office is the reason why you had to purchase those stamps at the post office is because you needed to mail out the packages, right? So the reason you're allowed deductions is because you're making money, right? Income allows you to take deductions, but the deductions need to be substantiated. There needs to be backup, right? So what is the backup? The receipt. And then what's the second backup is the purpose. So keeping a log in your car or on your phone with one of the apps or on your notes, it's going to be your best defense in an audit as well. Yeah, and for example, just to give you guys another idea of the miles that are driven, let's say by the end of the year you drive 2,000 miles, right, for business purposes, well, that's a $1,450 deduction. So this is separate from all your receipts you're saving and gathering. And yes, in an audit, you would have to present the receipts, the purpose, and you also have to present even the bank statements as well. So this is also a good time to talk about the September deadline, September 15th. So June 15th already passed. That was the quarter two estimate that was due. So if you're going to owe taxes because you're profitable, then you want to have some payments in every quarter, right? So June, the first estimate for quarter one is April 15th. The second estimate that's due is quarter two, but that's June 15th. And then quarter three is September 15th. And then quarter four is not December 15th, but January 15th. So the IRS does give you some extra time to make that last quarter payment, right? But yeah, I guess a trick for you guys, let's say if you have a regular W-2 job and in the summer you're just doing like some freelancing work, then you can always increase your withholdings on your W-2 at work. So you don't change the W-2, what you change is a W-4 and you say, hey, withhold more money from me. You can tell your employer, withhold an additional $10, $20 a paycheck, 50, 100, whatever the amount is. And that would be very helpful to cover some of your freelancer income. Because again, freelancer income does not get taxed when you get paid, but W-2s does, right? So your employer pays that upfront for you. But yeah, I mean, that's really some tax tips that I wanted to go over. It is July. There's 3 things that you should check. Make sure that you have a tally of all your side income for the first half of 2026. Back up your mileage logs. And the last item you could do is adjust your W-4 withholdings at your employer. And that's for federal purposes, but DE-4 is for California. So you can also adjust your state withholdings. So those are different techniques that you can use to help mitigate how much tax you would owe come next year on April 15th. But I hope this was helpful. And again, my name is Randy Gomez, and I have an MBA in entrepreneurship and an enrolled agent license from the IRS. And I help individuals with tax preparation and bookkeeping services and planning as well. So if you guys have a need for that, reach out to us and we'll set you up with an initial consultation. But thanks for joining another short episode of Tax Tips with the Latinx Business Podcast Show. Bye now. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with your network. Your support helps our Latinx business community grow stronger with every listen, and I truly invite you to connect with us. Send us your questions, your comments, or even your own business stories to randy@rgtaxes.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep learning, keep building your business, and keep growing your business mindset.